It took me 10 years to realize that the dragon in Shrek is actually a cursed princess. At the beginning of the movie, it tells the story of a beautiful princess who is cursed by black magic and locked in a castle. Only true love's kiss can break the curse. When we first watched it, we all thought it was Princess Fiona, but when we think it over carefully, the princess in the story has long golden hair, while Fiona has iconic red hair. Obviously, this princess is not Fiona. In fact, the dragon was originally a blonde princess. She was cursed and turned into a dragon. Just like Fiona, she was trapped in the quagmire of fate. However, her fate was even more tragic. Fiona had Shrek to save her and finally found love and broke the curse. But the dragon couldn't wait for the prince's salvation. She was forever trapped in the body of a dragon. Do you still remember the scene when the dragon tried to kiss the donkey when she first saw him? At that time, it seemed absurd. But now, everything makes sense. The dragon saw that the donkey could talk. She wholeheartedly thought that the donkey was also a prince under a curse. As long as she fell in love with him, she could break the curse and return to her human form. That's why she did such a thing. And why did the dragon stop all the knights who came to save Fiona? Actually, it's because she was so lonely. She longed to have a companion, and Fiona's arrival gave her a glimmer of hope. She just wanted Fiona to stay and keep her company. It took me 10 years to realize why Shrek didn't live with his ogre family. Shrek, being an ogre, was all alone in that remote swamp at first, with no relatives or friends. However, in Shrek 4, we discovered that there were actually other ogres in the world, and they were related to Shrek. They even called him Little Ogre. But strangely, Shrek didn't live with his family. So why was that? In folklores, ogres have the habit of eating their own kind, and Shrek himself once admitted that his father had tried to eat him. When Shrek told this experience, the fear and helplessness in his voice were still clearly distinguishable.
Oh yeah? My father was an ogre. He tried to eat me.
Just because of this, Shrek fled from his clan, kept away from his family, and chose to live alone. It's not hard to understand why he was afraid of having children himself. After all, he had such a terrifying childhood experience. Do you know? Shrek didn't even have a name originally. Recall the classic scene in Shrek. After Shrek saved Donkey, Donkey was so grateful that he really wanted to be friends with Shrek and asked about his name. Shrek hesitated obviously for a moment before saying his name.
What's your name?
Shrek.
This is enough to show that this name was made up by him on the spot. That's what I wanted to say. It took me 10 years to realize this cruel detail. Shrek actually ate his two sons. As we all know, Shrek is an ogre, and he has a family. But why did he choose to leave his family and live alone? There's actually a reason related to the nature of ogres behind this. In the world of ogres, they would eat their weaker kindred. Shrek once revealed that his father had tried to eat him, which shows that this kind of habit does exist in their family.
My father was an ogre. He tried to eat me.
In the fourth installment of Shrek, when Shrek returned to the ogre clan, it was quite obvious that he was much smaller in size compared to his fellow ogres. This also explains why his father had the intention to kill him. Moreover, Shrek's father didn't care about him at all. He didn't even give Shrek a name. When the donkey first asked Shrek about his name, he clearly hesitated for a moment before he said the name Shrek.
Shrek?
Later, when he saved Fiona and she asked for his name, he also had a brief hesitation.
Shrek.
This indicates that he wasn't used to this new name yet. It's highly likely that, because of his past experiences, people were afraid of him when they saw him, so he came up with this name for himself. We all know that Shrek and Fiona have two sons and a daughter. However, in the trailer of the fifth installment of Shrek, we only saw their daughter, and the two sons were nowhere to be seen. Considering the nature of ogres, it's not hard to guess the tragic fate of Shrek's two sons. Do you know? Fiona in Shrek is actually a cannibal. In the movie, Fiona was locked up in a tower for 25 years. There was only a dragon with her in the tower. So, how on earth did she manage to survive for such a long time? I watched the movie 5 times and finally discovered this detail. It turns out that Fiona survived by eating humans. There are several details in the movie that can prove this. We know that Shrek is an ogre. He once mentioned that ogres love to eat humans. Moreover, there is a big cauldron in his place. Coincidentally, there is also a big cauldron near Fiona's room, and next to it, there is a recipe book for cooking humans. There are only Fiona and the illiterate dragon in the tower. Obviously, this recipe book belongs to Fiona. Let's make bold speculation. Over the years, many knights came one after another to rescue Fiona, but they were all mercilessly killed by the dragon. In order to survive, Fiona most likely turned these dead knights into her meals. In addition, we can also find some clues to their food preferences. Shrek has always had a special liking for strange foods. Things like eyeballs and unknown animals are his favorites. When Shrek cooked a rat for Fiona to eat, she not only readily accepted it, but also praised Shrek's cooking skills. This shows that Fiona has an extraordinary tolerance for food in terms of diet, which further proves that she might have become a cannibal in order to survive. That's what I want to say. It took me 10 years to realize that Fiona was cursed by her father. From the plot of Shrek 2, we learned that Fiona's father was originally a frog. Take a bold guess. In order to be with the queen forever, the king made a deal with the fairy godmother. He wanted to turn into a human, and the price was to put his daughter Fiona under a terrible curse. During the day, Fiona was a beautiful princess, but at night, she would turn into a terrifying monster. Only true love's kiss could break the curse. The fairy godmother and the king planned for Prince Charming to rescue Fiona. However, Shrek showed up unexpectedly. journey. Not only did he meet Fiona first, but the two also fell deeply in love. Looking at it this way, everything that happened later makes sense. After getting married, Fiona brought Shrek back to the kingdom. Naturally, the king was very dissatisfied with this ogre son-in-law. The fairy godmother, in order to let her son marry Fiona and ascend the throne, took the opportunity to instigate the king to hire someone to kill Shrek. From their conversation, it was obvious that the king had something on him that the fairy godmother could use. Helplessly, the king found Puss in Boots to assassinate Shrek, but the plan ultimately failed. Shrek accidentally drank the fairy godmother's magic potion and turned into a handsome guy. The fairy godmother seized the opportunity and let her son, Prince Charming, pretend to be Shrek. She also gave the king a bottle of potion. If Fiona drank it, she would fall in love with the first man who kissed her. Undoubtedly, that man was Prince Charming. The king couldn't bear to let his daughter miss her true love, so he secretly switched the potion. In the end, the fairy godmother's plot completely failed, and the king was turned back into a frog mercilessly because he had disobeyed her order. So, Fiona's father was the originator who caused her to be cursed. I was watching Shrek and realized something crazy. Lord Farquad's parents are actually Snow White and Grumpy, one of the 7 dwarfs. It really sounds absurd, but I found quite a bit of evidence to support this idea. In the movie, Lord Farquad is a strange-looking villain. Shrek is really fond of paying homage to Disney classics. Characters like Cinderella, the fairy godmother, and Sleeping Beauty are all featured in it. Looking at it this way, the idea that Lord Farquad has a connection with Disney characters doesn't seem like pure nonsense. Take the magic mirror as an example. Lord Farquad owns a magic mirror, which is just like the one in Snow White and the 7 dwarfs. Both of them can see and know all sorts of things. Then, if we look at his appearance, there's a strange similarity between him and Snow White. They both have black bob haircuts, and the puffed sleeves on their clothes are designed exactly the same. So, it's highly likely that Lord Farquad's mother is Snow White. Then, who is his father? Judging from his height, his father is probably one of the 7 dwarfs. When we observe Lord Farquad's clothing preferences, we can see that he likes red clothes, and his belt is a combination of black and gold. Also, he has a bad temper. Among the 7 dwarfs, only Grumpy meets these 3 characteristics at the same time. Grumpy often wears red clothes, has a black belt around his waist, and there are golden decorations on it. He's especially known for his grumpy and irritable personality. It seems that Lord Farquad not only inherited his height from his father Grumpy, but also his taste in clothing and his bad temper. It took me 10 years to realize something crazy. Prince Charming is actually Fiona's maternal half-brother, and he isn't the fairy godmother's biological son. We know that the fairy godmother is a villain. She aimed to control the entire kingdom. Knowing that humans wouldn't fully trust her, she needed a puppet to achieve her goals. A prince, with his noble status, was the perfect choice. So it's highly likely that she cursed another monarch, kidnapped their eldest son, and groomed him to become the Prince Charming, all in preparation for seizing power. In Shrek 2, Prince Charming, following the fairy godmother's orders, came to rescue Fiona. The plan was for him to marry Fiona and then ascend the throne, thus allowing the fairy godmother to take control of the far, far away kingdom. In Shrek 3, after Fiona's father fell critically ill and passed away, Prince Charming quickly assembled a group to try and seize the throne. What's puzzling is that these people were willing to follow him and firmly believed that he had a legitimate claim to the throne. This makes us wonder if there's more to Prince Charming's background than meets the eye. It's worth noting that Prince Charming bears a striking resemblance to Queen Lillian. When it came to her daughter's marriage, Queen Lillian didn't support the handsome white horse prince. Instead, she backed Shrek, the ugly ogre. As parents, they usually prefer a more suitable match in terms of social status and appearance. Queen Lillian's attitude was truly unusual. Maybe before she married Fiona's father, Queen Lillian had a past romance that no one knew about, and Prince Charming could very well be her long-lost son. That could explain why she didn't want Fiona to marry him.